Welcome to the Two Marks and Spark Wrestling Podcast. We are here for the post Royal Rumble show, first time on Lock 22. This has been a long time coming, but here we are. We're finally here. Uncle Russ is here to help me barrage through this long ass show. This show went on forever.
Yeah.
I was watching this show with a couple friends, and I said at one point, I think I said it's 11:30 Central as we're recording this. I said at about 10, I said this show's going to go till 11:30, and sure enough, it did. We're going to recap it all. For those of you listening on the audio side, welcome back. For those of you on the Lock 22 side, welcome. You may or may not know who I am. I'm Ben Shrewsbury. That's Uncle Russ up there or over there. I can't tell which side he's going to be on the thing. But we're here to recap the Royal Rumble. We're going to be here every single week, every single Sunday to recap all the week's wrestling. This week, we are going to talk about the Royal Rumble. Obviously, we are probably not going to get to Raw or SmackDown or AEW tonight because we just watched a 5-hour epic. Oh my God. So let's get right into it. Did you watch the pre-show? I didn't.
I kind of had my eyeball on it about I got everything switched on about 10 minutes after. It was just nothing memorable. There weren't any dark matches or anything.
I was surprised they didn't do a pre-show match because there was only 5 matches on the show.
Right. But you know, it still was a very, very long show. And you didn't miss anything if you didn't see the pre-show. I mean, they even had a comedy bit with a pie in the face, which was like old when Soupy Sales did it 50 years ago.
Well, here's the thing, right? Here's what you missed if you didn't watch the pre-show. Jerry Lawler and Booker T yelled at each other for 45 minutes.
Right.
And fought about who was older, and I'm still not sure which one is which.
Right.
In terms of who's older. And then Gabriel Iglesias showed up, which I thought was like really weird. And I was like, okay, why are you here?
I don't know. Maybe he's from San Antonio. I don't know.
I think he actually is. Total side note, by the way, about these pre-shows, and it's never been an issue before, but I noticed it tonight. Was it me or did Kayla Braxton look like she really did not want to be there?
Yeah, I'm not a fan. You know, I'm not a fan.
But here's the thing: normally she's really good, but tonight she just looked like, dude, I don't want to be here right now.
Really?
So we started with the men's Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I was surprised they led with that. I was a little bit surprised.
Well, the second they led with that, you pretty much knew that whatever they were ending with was going to take a while, and it did. But Gunther and Sheamus start the match, and these two beat the hell out of each other for pretty much the entirety of the match.
I'm a fan of both of these guys. I really like Gunther. I knew that he was not going to win, but I was pulling for him. I really did.
The longer that thing went, I was like, holy hell, Gunther's going to win this damn thing.
Yes. You know, another thing I noticed is that this was definitely padded out for storylines to be thrown in. If the rules say that a new entrant comes in every 90 seconds. Well, if that were the case, then we'd have all 30 of them in 45 minutes. Exactly.
Yeah.
They gave it away to those that care about such things when they mentioned that when Sheamus and McIntyre were eliminated, they said that one of them had been in for over 52 minutes and there was still about 5 people left to come into the ring. But, you know, especially like when Edge and Brock Lesnar came out, that was more than 90 seconds. That was like a 4 or 5 minute pause in between. So it's not occurring in real time. It's very much scripted for the kind of storylines they want to throw in, which I get it. That's what you expect.
But why not say at random intervals, we're going to send somebody out instead of...
Exactly. Yeah.
So I wrote down the eliminations in order. We didn't get an elimination for a very long time in this match. Like the ring filled up.
Miz was first, was he not?
Miz was first. He got outed by Sheamus. Then Cross got thrown over by McIntyre.
I didn't hate seeing him go.
And then Woods and Kofi got eliminated pretty much back to back by Gunther. And then Brock came out and just started chucking people out of the ring.
Right.
And these all happened really quick. Like once the eliminations started, they were boom, 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 one right after another. But I don't think there was an elimination for 25 minutes.
It felt like that, yeah.
I, I have never seen a Rumble like that where it goes that long without an elimination. It went on and on.
And then they started happening really rapid fire.
What was it? Drew was number 9 or 10.
Yeah.
And nobody started getting eliminated until he came out.
Right.
So
Bobby Lashley eliminated Brock Lesnar, I believe.
That was weird.
Almost immediately.
I thought at first, before he did the whole thing he did after he got eliminated, I thought Brock got hurt. And I thought that's maybe why he got thrown out so quick. But he didn't get hurt because they did the angle where he threw the steps everywhere. I do want to go back to the start of this for 2 seconds. I know we're all over the place here. Pat McAfee came out at the start of the show and got this massive pop. He was great all night. He sounded like he was baked for about 90% of the show, but I don't really. I mean, okay, they told him he was going to have to sit out there for 5 hours. I wouldn't necessarily blame the guy.
Right.
But, and Lashley throws Lesnar out really quick, and then Lashley's gone, 3 or 4 minutes later?
Yeah.
So both of these guys are out. They're going to WrestleMania.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah. Right? That could be a good match.
I mean, they've done it twice. That'd be the rubber match. Judgment Day comes out. They start, and Judgment Day was like one right after another.
Yes.
It started when Ray was number 17.
Right.
Ray never came into this match because Dominic was 18. And then Dominic comes out wearing Ray's mask. That whole thing happens.
And then after, they never did fill us in on what actually happened to Ray. They just kind of let it drop. They assumed that we all figured something out. And
Kofi never got officially eliminated, by the way.
Right. But yeah.
Kofi got tossed over by Gunther and landed on a chair.
Maybe the Rumble isn't over because he never entered. They didn't have 30 entrants.
And Kofi never got eliminated.
That's right. And for once, they didn't make anything out of that. When they mentioned that one foot was off the ground, I thought, well, we're going to get some kind of, we're used to some kind of payoff with Kofi getting his way back into the ring, but nothing.
I wonder if he got hurt. I wonder if
it's possible.
It looks like he did. It looks like he knocked himself out, or got knocked out, but I don't know. Baron Corbin looked terrible. Was that the worst F5 you've ever seen?
Yeah, it didn't look too good.
Baron did not take it right.
Early on too, there are a couple of moments that kind of took me out of it, but this is just a standard beef I had. When Elias gave the guitar shot to Gunther, it was just for a split second, but the time goes off where you could see Gunther anticipating it, running himself for it. And little things like that, I hate to nitpick, but they just, at least for the moment, they just take me out of it,
Well, that happened a couple of times, specifically in the men's Rumble.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the women's Rumble later. But overall, I thought the women's Rumble was a lot smoother in terms of pace than the men's Rumble. I thought the women's Rumble had a much better pace to it. It moved a lot quicker. It felt like they were sticking to the 90-second intervals in that one, as opposed to...
It really did. I feel maybe they were trying to make up for lost time, but at the end, it didn't matter much because it still was a very long-ass show.
Well, going back to the men's Rumble, I'll pull up my elimination notes one more time in here.
Yes.
I want to point out a highlight on commentary. At one point, Otis comes out and Pat McAfee calls him, and I quote, a round mound of meat. I made note of this. That is how funny I found this.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. That was funny as hell.
Yes.
Corbin finally gets tossed into the ring and then immediately gets hawked out
Right.
pretty
That was
shortly after
fun.
Lesnar leaves. Lashley gets chucked out by Rollins right after the whole Ray thing happened.
Yes. And I thought Rollins looked pretty good throughout.
Right. And then another McAfee highlight, he calls Dominic Mysterio after he comes out to the ring, and I quote, a prison bitch.
Yeah.
I
Great.
I can't make this shit up. This show was great for at least the first hour.
Yes.
Elias was in there for 39 seconds, got a guitar shot on Gunther, and then Drew and Sheamus immediately said, get the hell out of my ring.
Right.
Booker T comes in at number 21.
Right. Which was a surprise.
It was the biggest surprise of the men's rumble. We'll get to the women's rumble later.
Right. But nothing came of it. He did a spinneroonie.
He was in there for 60
showed his
seconds, and
age
then
a little
Gunther
bit.
said, get out
I
of my
mean, I
ring.
wouldn't even try to do a spinneroonie, so I'm not making fun of the guy. But yeah, he was eliminated. That's probably a good thing, because I'd hate to see the guy get hurt.
Well, and he had a fairly clean elimination, too. I think he even landed on his feet.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of landing on your feet, Montez Ford comes out. Damian Priest grabs him almost immediately, choke slams him onto the floor. Montez lands on his feet.
Right.
He picked him up over his head, dropped him over the rope, and Montez just landed on his feet. And I was like,
yeah,
sell the choke slam, you nerd. What are you doing?
Exactly. Yeah.
Edge comes back.
You choke slam a guy and he lands upright on his feet.
Edge comes back at number 24. We expected this. This
Yes.
wasn't he was not announced, but
No.
Name one person that did not
And
think Edge was going to show up.
It's been about 3 months since we've seen him.
Yeah, Edge is on that 3 months on, 3 months off schedule, it seems like.
Right.
Seems like he comes back around the big four, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, that kind of thing. Worth noting, Cody Rhodes, who was announced for this match, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, didn't see high nor hair of him for 90% of the match.
Right. He was the last one in.
I
believe he was number 30.
Yeah, he was number 30. Edge very quickly eliminates Priest and Balor after getting in the ring. Dominic eliminates him with the help of an already eliminated Damian Priest and Finn Balor. I thought they should have given Edge more of a run here, just because we hadn't seen him in 3 months. I mean, it's the same thing with Brock. Why was Brock only in there for 2.5 minutes?
Yeah, I enjoy seeing him throw people around.
Theory comes out. He still sucks.
I'm just not sold on Theory.
No, neither am I. I don't think anybody is. I mean, did you hear the crowd? The crowd died when he walked out.
Yeah, the crowd was. I had heard that he was. Vince McMahon was really high on him, was really pushing him.
But the crowd doesn't care. That's
exactly.
The thing. The crowd did not care. They were not booing him. They were not cheering. They were just like, well, we knew this was going to happen.
Yes.
Omos comes out.
Omos is, I don't know, it's sad. He's worthless.
Braun Strowman they sent Braun Strowman out there so quick after Omos came out. It was almost instantly. They started the countdown for the next guy. They're like, shit, we got to get Braun out there. This guy can't do anything.
Well, no, he can't do much of anything. He reminds me of the great Khali. Except
he's worse than Khali.
Maybe even worse. Yeah, that's what I was
Khali
thinking.
could move a little bit.
He could move a little bit, but almost just seems to stand around.
I don't know what, and I'd be curious as to your opinion of this. I don't know what they were thinking, sending Omos out there with that many guys in the ring, first of all. And second of all, what were they thinking sending him out there after Booker T? I would have sent him out there earlier to get
Right.
him out,
Yes.
just to get him out of the way. You don't have to send Braun out there earlier.
Either that or
Braun,
find somebody else to take his place, somebody that might have been interesting, could have done something entertaining.
AJ Styles wasn't in this match. There was no
Right.
sign of, there was no AJ Styles. There was no Riddle, but I think he's suspended. So
Okay.
that
What was
made
that
sense.
for?
Drugs.
Failed drug test? I'm shocked.
And not weed, by the way, because they don't test for weed anymore. So it was something else.
Well, I suppose it'd be kind of hard to test for weed when there's so many states where it's legal now.
Well, that and these guys live all over the country. They
Right.
you don't know where it's legal, where it's not. I mean,
Logan Paul. Uh, was that a surprise to you?
I mean, only because he tore his ACL like 3 months ago,
Right.
or supposedly
Yeah.
tore his ACL.
Yeah, he's never really gotten over with me, and apparently he hasn't gotten over that much with the crowd.
I mean, they hate the guy, but they don't hate the guy because he's a heel. They hate him because he's a dick.
Yeah, it's not good heat. It's like go away heat. We don't want you here.
It's like, get off my damn. It's Baron Corbin when Baron Corbin was feuding with Seth for the title heat.
Right.
It's get off my TV heat. And then Cody comes out at number 30. The place explodes.
Yes.
Just they go absolutely ape shit.
Yeah,
What's your thoughts on Cody? I have to ask. I have my own thoughts, but what's your thoughts on Cody? What did you think of him coming out
I
here?
think that he's a good worker, and he's got the genetic factor, and he does know how to put together a good match when he's given a chance to. I
They sent him
didn't
out there too late.
I didn't love everything he was every way he was used in AEW, and since he came back to the WWE, it got cut short so fast. We really haven't got a chance to see what he's going to do yet. I don't dislike the guy, but I'm not super high on him yet. I thought that he would win because from a booking point, that makes sense that he would win the Rumble.
It made sense, and he was pretty much, other than maybe Sheamus, the only guy who you could say would have made sense here.
Yes.
And the only reason you could say Sheamus would have made sense is this kind of feels like it's his last ride. So you maybe could have played that whole factor and said, well, we're going to give it to Sheamus. He'll go to Mania. He'll probably lose to Roman. But,
yes.
And we'll talk about Roman later. There was a lot to talk about with Roman there. But Cody comes out, the crowd goes off, and there was a lot of guys left in the ring.
Yes, there were quite a few still left, but it seemed to wrap up pretty fast after that.
Dom gets thrown out by Cody. One highlight that I forgot to point out, everyone but Gunther, the second Logan Paul got in the ring, just started glomming the hell out of Logan Paul. I thought that was hilarious.
Yes.
We had but while Logan Paul was still in the match, which he was in there for a while, Logan Paul was still in there for a long time. He was in the final four, I think, or final five.
Yes.
We had that crazy double springboard clothesline with him and Ricochet. That was just
yes. That was crazy.
That was a great spot. I don't want to know how long they were rehearsing it for, though.
That could make quite a sound.
Yeah. Strowman gets chucked out by Cody, which I thought was kind of cool. Theory eliminates Ricochet, which I thought was in poor taste.
Yeah, I think Austin Theory is very overrated.
And then the final four goes down to Cody, Gunther, and Theory.
Seth?
Cody, Gunther, Theory, and Seth, yeah. This was the final four.
Right.
All three of these, or all four, well, 3 out of 4 guys can work. Theory can work. Theory's wrestling isn't the problem. It's his gimmick and his mic work. Both are abhorrent.
Yeah, I don't like him.
To say the least. I mean, he's
not a bad worker. But some people just can't talk. They don't have the natural gift for it. And I think it's a lot bigger problem in WWE than it is in AEW because they script these promos for them. And even if you have the ability to talk well, it's hard to deliver someone else's words
Yeah.
rather than something that you feel and something that, you know, when you're in the audience, you can tell if they believe what they're saying, or you can see it in their eyes that they're just memorizing the lines that they've learned.
That's what I like about Drew McIntyre a lot is you can tell he means what he's saying 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And Kevin Owens too. I mean, both of those
Kevin
guys are
Owens is a
fantastic.
great promo. And yeah.
It goes down to Cody and Gunther after Logan Paul came back out of nowhere, even though I thought he got eliminated. And he gets eliminated very quickly by Cody. And then Cody and Gunther go at each other for a solid 8 minutes.
And that was a very nice finish to the whole thing. That was the best part of the match toward the end. It was impressive.
These guys could not have fought any harder. And I thought the longer it went, I actually thought Gunther was going to win.
It almost looked like it. Yeah.
Just because I was like,
wouldn't happen because I would have loved it, but I'm sure that the majority of fans probably wouldn't agree with me.
Well, I would agree with you, but here's the thing. The longer it went is almost the more you felt like Gunther was winning that thing. Right. Just because like, you're like, okay, this is going a long time for a very obvious finish.
Yes.
You know, and we'll talk about the next match, which I hated, to say the least.
I agree.
But, you know, they went a long way for a fairly obvious finish here. Cody ends up winning. They do a lot of pyro.
It was about an hour and a quarter.
It was an hour and a half. It was an hour and 15.
Sorry. Hour and a half. Okay.
It was 72 minutes, I think, that Gunther lasted, and he was in there the whole match. So
right.
And then we get to among the worst gimmick matches I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my God. It was just pathetic. I'm glad it was over quickly.
But the thing is, it wasn't.
The only thing that's good about it is that it was very fast.
Oh boy. Okay, so before we get to that, we get a very long ad break on a pay-per-view.
Right.
I don't have to explain to you the lack of logic there.
Right.
If you've ever watched a UFC show, a WWE show, any of these premium live events, pay-per-views, whatever you want to call them, why are we getting such long commercials on these shows now?
It has gotten worse.
And I don't know if it's Peacock, because it's gotten worse since they went to Peacock, like a lot worse. So it could be
the first ad break where they announced the Elimination Chamber.
They'd already announced the chamber, but it's going to be in Montreal. I think it's probably going to be Roman.
And it had all the blue light and the ice and the snow and everything.
It looked really cool.
There, I thought Glacier's coming back.
Wouldn't that have been hilarious if Glacier would have shown up in the Royal Rumble? Oh boy.
Well, it would have been more entertaining than the Black Light match.
Oh Lord. Okay, I have a lot of notes on this. I have a lot of notes.
I call it the Black Light match because it was like the
it basically was a black light
match, but the lighting, it looked like like the old black light posters and everything.
I'm gonna go through my notes for this. I think you'll like this. Pitch Black match is next. I don't like where this is going because the second I saw the video package, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Because the video package even made it look bad.
I think it's just stupid.
Lights went down. It's purple. LA Knight's gear is glow in the dark. So is Bray's face paint.
Yes. That was really bizarre.
They went through the announce table. Green dots splatter everywhere. This note on these green dots. They popped up a lot throughout the show. Yeah. They got everywhere.
And what the hell were they supposed to be?
Mountain Dew? Frozen Mountain Dew? I don't know.
It didn't make any sense to me.
Because
But
remember, Mountain Dew
they've always
sponsored
had
that.
really bad lighting in Bray Wyatt's matches. Do you remember the matches with the Fiend where they had everything bathed in that red light?
Yeah,
Where
this was somehow better than that, but
that
not.
was better than that. But yeah, the strange lighting in his matches that make them hard to enjoy, hard to
I
watch.
then wrote, Uncle Russ, I think you'll like this one. I then wrote, keep in mind, this is about a quarter of the way through the match. I wrote, this is silly, because it
Exactly.
was. And then I wrote, who are they targeting with this match in terms of demographic? Which, and then I write, this is incredibly stupid. Bray wins on a Sister Abigail. Oh, good
Right.
Lord, what now?
Well, my note is what I wrote to sum it up right after the match is I wrote this match was a big fat nothing.
Yeah, it went nowhere. They do a post-match angle, which is among the dumbest things I've ever seen. Bray goes and leans over in the corner, and he does
Right.
like this thing, and I'll try to demonstrate on camera. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it though. Pretend my microphone is the turnbuckle. He like leans down like this,
Yes.
and then he pops up, and then his face is just painted red. I was
Right.
like,
Why?
what are you doing?
You
And then he
know,
grabs LA Knight and he just starts pummeling the shit out of him.
they've always got all this spooky supernatural crap going on with Bray Wyatt's matches and the Fiend and all this. And some people seem to love that stuff. I hated it. I know they say, "Oh, you old guys back in the day, you loved it when the Undertaker ascended to heaven and all this." I said, "No, I hated that shit back then too. I've
Well,
always
here's the
hated
thing:
that
when the
kind of stuff.
Undertaker did it, he made it make sense.
I always hated when they put like a supernatural powers as part of the storyline. I just
And then,
it's hard enough to believe the story that you're getting in wrestling without that being added to it.
they brawl to the back or like a side area in the arena. They brawl. He throws LA Knight on top of these crates. By the
Right.
way, can I just say, LA Knight made the really, really the best of a bad situation here. I thought he was great in this whole thing. For as
Yeah.
bad as this whole thing was, I thought LA Knight was great. And I think he's great. And I really hope they don't bury him after this.
Yeah.
Though they probably will, because that's what happens when you feud with Bray. Anyway, so he sets him on top of this container, and then above on like a platform of some kind is Uncle Howdy. Because of course Uncle Howdy is here, because Bray Wyatt is here.
Right.
It is at this point in my notes I wrote, please kill me.
Yeah. Yeah. Uncle Howdy, whoever he is supposed to be. You know,
It's
I don't
Bo
think.
Dallas,
How long
folks.
has it been since we've seen Bray Wyatt wrestle? Has it been almost 2 years?
WrestleMania when he wrestled Randy Orton. This match was somehow not as bad as that.
Was that the haunted house one?
No, that was the one where Alexa came out of the toy box and like had black
Oh
glue
yeah.
on her face. We'll talk about
Yeah.
Alexa in a minute. I thought she had an equally abhorrent night.
Yes.
I thought she was horrible tonight, but we'll talk about that.
Well,
And then
Bray
Uncle Howdy
Wyatt,
jumps off this platform thing, and the fucking pyro goes off, and I'm like, what the
right.
fuck?
Why?
Okay, we can move on from this now. I don't want to talk about this anymore, or
Yeah.
ever again. You know what? We
I
never talk about this again.
haven't enjoyed Bray Wyatt since the very beginning when he was doing the Waylon Mercy shtick, which I loved back then, you know, but
That was great.
ever since that group broke up, I haven't been a fan of most of what he's been doing.
Well, no, because they supernatural it up. It's dumb.
Yeah.
Then we get another prolonged. I timed this one. I think this one was about 7 minutes. We get another 7-minute ad
All
break.
right. I had to take a bathroom break around then.
And then
So
we
I
got
didn't miss
Bianca
anything.
Belair versus Alexa Bliss. I like both of these two. This match was bad.
Yes.
This was a factually bad match. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it made me angry. Bianca wins with a KOD. That was it. This was a big nothing burger.
Very short.
They went for about 10 minutes.
Well, it felt a lot quicker than that. I don't feel like it ever really got off the ground. It never really got going.
Well, no, but 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, these two had a match on Raw that was also not good.
I missed
So,
that one.
well, this was better than that. You saw the better version, but
Okay.
not by much.
Not
It
by
was
much then.
it was abhorrent. Both of them were. And then after the match, we got more Bray Wyatt spooky
Right.
crap.
Yeah.
By the way, we are going through this a lot quicker than it actually happened.
Correct. Correct.
We would have to talk at a snail's pace to accurately reflect the
Maybe
pacing
this
of the
won't take as
show.
long as we thought it would, but you know, what is the deal with the playground equipment and all that? I've never got that. What the hell is that supposed to symbolize? You see
Sister
an empty
Abigail
swing
stuff.
there. It reminds me of the album cover of Korn's first album, where the
I,
kid's on the swing and then gone.
I mean, okay, here's the thing. If they took the supernatural crap out of it, and it was just Bray Wyatt doing his Waylon Mercy gimmick again, and he had Alexa under his mind control, nobody would care. Everybody would be fine with that.
Yeah,
If she was Sister Abigail or whatever, everybody would be okay with that. But here's the thing. You've got this supernatural hokey dokey bullshit.
that's what it is.
Hokey dokey bullshit
Okey dokey bullshit. I like that.
that just doesn't make any sense. And by the way, I'm going to go on a miniature rant here. For those listening to this that have been listening to me for a while, you know I like to go on rants every once in a while. What are we doing with Alexa Bliss? This girl can wrestle. She's a good worker. She's good on the mic. She's a very good heel. I actually thought a lot of her promo work leading up to this match was very good. I thought her promo on Monday, while a little cheesy, was quite well delivered. Why, then, I repeat, why do we feel the need to acknowledge the worst part of her career, aka the Bray Wyatt crap?
Yes.
I hated this.
Yes.
I wanted to turn the show off. I'm moving on.
You're right. She is a good worker, but they've gotten to the point to where I just don't care anymore. And that's sad. You know, they do that to a lot of wrestlers, but I agree with you. You know, she's been
Here's the thing,
badly
they
used.
almost did it to Bianca. Remember after they beat Bianca in what was that, 7 seconds at SummerSlam 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
They almost did it to Bianca. And I went on a full-fledged rant after that SummerSlam show on the audio side of this podcast. Before we were with Lock 22, I went on a full-fledged rant about that.
Right.
And then they brought us back around, right? She won the Royal Rumble last year. Or no, she didn't win the Royal Rumble. She won a chamber match, I think, was it? To go to WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Whatever it was. She won the belt back at WrestleMania. They told a story. There was a point to it. You understood it.
Yes.
You were like, oh, and now she's had the belt for 310 days or 311 or whatever the hell it is. So at least that went somewhere. I don't think this Alexa shit is going fucking anywhere anytime soon.
No, I don't. And Bianca Belair, she's a good worker also.
I just don't think these two work well together. I honestly think that's what it is. Well, finally we get to what I think was the better of the two Rumble matches. The Women's Royal Rumble.
Better paced.
Better paced, and I thought the work overall was better. Like, a lot of the work in the Men's Rumble was kind of sloppy, especially towards the middle point when, like, Otis got in there.
Right.
This was a very uneventful Women's Royal Rumble. We can kind of spark notes this one.
I didn't until they have a women's Royal Rumble, I usually don't think of the women's roster as being that large, you know.
Right.
A guy like me ran a promotion and I had the means to have anybody I want. We wouldn't be able to have a women's Rumble because I doubt if I could find 30 wrestlers that I would want to hire, you know.
I mean, Rhea comes out at 1, right? And you
Yes.
pretty much knew Rhea was winning this damn thing.
Yeah.
She's the
And
one
I was
getting the
kind of
push.
hoping she would too. Although they got
But
some
when she
other
came
great
out at
wrestlers
one,
too.
when she came out at one, I thought she was either going to go the distance or they were going to make a joke out of her.
Yeah, and I thought the contrast, with her coming out at number one and winning, in contrast to the men's rumble where Cody Rhodes came out number 30 and won.
By the way,
It
that's 2 years in a row we've had a
it
winner
kind
at
of makes
30.
the women look a little tougher.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with, but
Right.
and Rhea is a badass, by the way, like certified badass, and she'll have a match with Beth eventually. I don't know when, but we'll see. Who knows? Maybe they put the SmackDown belt on Beth Phoenix and just have it be Rhea and Beth Phoenix at WrestleMania.
That would be a good match.
I mean, I'd rather see that than Rhea and Charlotte Flair again.
Yes. Right.
Please.
Minor complaint. I made a note, and I'm not meaning to pick on Dana Brooke, but
Oh God.
I hope I hope I never, ever, ever see people doing cartwheels as part of their moves in the wrestling ring. I've never liked that. Doing cartwheels as a part of a move, it just looks silly. It just looks silly. That's my little mini rant on that.
She's not a good worker on top of that.
I'm surprised that she's still around.
Speaking of surprised they're still around, Tamina was here. Everybody thought, I thought she got released.
So did I. We haven't seen her on television in quite a long time.
No, and here's the thing. Tamina's father was an all-time great, Jimmy Superfly Snuka. I'm not discrediting that.
Right.
But what I am saying is Tamina Snuka is not the wrestler her father was. I don't think I'm speaking out of school when I say that.
Mm-hmm.
She looked very sloppy in this match. Not very good, I would say. You know who looked great in this match? And she entered at number 2, and she looked great all throughout. I thought Liv Morgan was great tonight.
Yeah, she looked good too.
But here's the thing. They gypped her on that whole title run last year, right? She wins Money in the Bank. They put the belt on her. But you kind of knew it was forced, right? The fans, they kind of Daniel Bryan her the belt.
Yeah, it's a good comparison. One thing about this match, it definitely was a lot more colorful. You see so many bright neon colors in the gear and in the hair. I mean,
right.
It's like an acid trip, man. There was this green and pink and blue and yellow and red just swirling all around.
But I thought it was a good contrast because I thought the men's rumble had like a lack of color.
Yeah, that's right. Not enough.
Like they couldn't find a happy medium, so they just did them both.
Yes.
They just did both.
I was glad to see Maya Yim back. I've been a fan of hers since back when she was calling herself Jade a few years back.
Yeah, she was in the match. Michelle McCool made the most unique Royal Rumble entrance I think ever. Yes. She was sitting next to her kids in like the second row or whatever, and they played her music, and she looked like she'd just seen a ghost and didn't know what to do, so she took her coat off, handed it to her daughter, and got in the ring. I thought that was hilarious.
Bailey was in for quite a while.
Bailey was great. Bailey's always great. Give her more.
Yes, she's just always been a great worker, and I haven't really disliked anything she's done. I don't think she's great on the mic, but she's
better than she used to be.
Her ring work.
She's better than she used to be.
Oh yes, definitely
on the mic.
I don't know if you were keeping notes, but probably the shortest, the one that was in the least amount of time was B-Fab.
No, the one that was in the shortest was a returning Chelsea Green.
Okay, all right.
She broke the record. Pat McAfee said it on commentary. She broke the record. Chelsea Green, right, who has tore up the indie scene for 2 years since getting released, makes this big return. She's got her gimmick. She's got everything. Over and out in 5 seconds.
That's right.
That made me so mad because she has been tearing it up on the indies. She didn't do a damn thing in this match. She just gets thrown out,
Right.
chucked out by
Like, thanks for showing up. Go get your paycheck. See you later.
Piper Niven has her gimmick back, thank God.
Yes.
Yeah.
What were they calling her for a while?
Dewdrop.
Dewdrop. That's right. That's
Just
right.
the worst name ever.
Yes, I hated that, but I always really liked her.
She's a great worker.
She's a great worker, and I was first impressed with her with that a few years back they had the first of the women's tournament.
Yeah.
The what was it? I forget. It was the Mae Young Memorial.
Yeah, the Mae
Tournament.
Young Classic.
Yes, and I hated her having that stupid name.
Well, and then they chucked her with Eva Marie too, who just can't work.
Exactly.
Speaking of can't work, let's go to number 30. Nia Jax is back.
Yes.
What the hell?
I thought she was done with wrestling for good.
Did she not just announce her retirement 6 months ago?
It seems like it, yeah. That was a return that nobody really wanted. I mean, she seemed to get who do you think got the worst reception? Maybe Lacey Evans?
No. The worst reception was Omos, probably. Or Austin Theory.
No, I mean for the women's.
Oh, for the women's?
For the women's theory.
Probably Tamina.
Yeah.
Tamina got no reaction
Evans is just I'm surprised she's still around. I don't think she's ever going to get over.
Speaking of never going to get over, Natalya was awful tonight.
Yes.
Remarkably bad.
Yeah, I was surprised too. I've always been a fan of hers, but I mean, you can only go so long.
She just can't get over.
So
Nia Jax comes out, and the whole lot of them start to attack her, and then she just flings them all off. It ends up getting down to Rhea, Asuka, and Liv.
Right, Asuka looked good. I've always been a fan of her.
I think they're going to turn her heel. They teased it tonight. I think she's going to turn heel. She's got the mist back. She kind of starting to look like her old self again. The finish comes. We didn't really have a final 2 in this match. We kind of had a final 3.
Right. I wanted to mention too, I made note that I was impressed with Raquel Rodriguez.
I thought she should have won the match.
I'm not real familiar with her. I've seen her before a little bit, but I was very impressed.
I thought she probably should have won. Like, maybe not won, but maybe you toss her out before you toss Liv out. Or don't toss her out before you toss Liv out. Maybe toss Liv out first.
Another one I'm less familiar with, but I was very impressed with is Zoe Stark.
Zoe Stark was great. She's always been great. Roxanne Perez, the youngest women's Royal Rumble entrant ever. Roxanne Perez.
Right.
She's 21 or 22.
Oh, yeah.
She's really good. She was trained by Booker T. And
all right. I think they mentioned that.
We're not going to be covering NXT on this show, but a name to watch out for is Roxanne Perez. So they start battling on the apron, the final 3, Rhea, Asuka, and Liv.
Yes.
Asuka goes to mist Rhea. Rhea ducks, kind of crawls under Asuka's legs almost.
Right.
And then Asuka miss Liv. Liv somehow blinded manages to kind of trip Asuka off. And then it looks like she's actually going to eliminate Rhea while still blinded.
Right.
And then Rhea knocks her out, and, Rhea wins, which we all saw coming. I mean,
right.
She should have won.
It was a good ending. I liked the ending of it. Overall, I think you're right. I think the match flowed a little better than the men's. It seemed like they actually were trying to keep it to a more accurate time.
I don't know if they just told everybody before they went out there, look, this show's going on forever. Make it quick.
Mm-hmm.
Or what?
Right.
Then we got to the main event. And speaking of running long and going on forever.
Well, before we got to the main event, we had to have a whole bunch more ads.
We had an ad break and a Hardy concert.
A Hardy concert. And I wrote my notes, and I keep track of a lot of different genres of music. I love many, many genres of music. But in my note here, I said, "Who the fuck is Hardy?"
Hardy actually is more famous as a songwriter. He's wrote a lot of songs that have done really well.
And
Hardy
it
is
wasn't a
himself.
bad song. I just didn't want to hear. I didn't want to hear a music break at that time.
Well, no, here's the thing. The mics that they had did not come through well on TV.
Yeah.
He sounded terrible on television. I've
Well,
seen video from in the arena and he sounded a lot better. But on the Peacock feed and on the network feed, he sounded terrible.
well, a lot of times live music, it's hard to get it to sound really great on live television.
And this is live television. I know they're
but
streaming.
it's always been that way.
But it sounded really bad. Hardy is not actually that bad. If this is your first time hearing Hardy, I encourage you to actually go check out some of his actual music and not him singing in the middle
about
of the
corn
ring.
liquor.
Huh?
You're singing about corn liquor or something like that, wasn't he?
I think so.
Singing about moonshine.
I want to note that after they did this for the Hardy thing, right? We had 2 ad breaks here because they had to take the ring down pretty much because they had to take all the ropes out.
Right.
They do the Hardy shit that it took them forever to get to. And then they go to another ad break that it takes them forever to come back to. Then they do a video package.
Right.
And by this point, it's about 10:40.
And I'm thinking this thing is never going to get over. I told my wife I'll be home by midnight at the absolute latest. You know,
it's almost a quarter after.
Yeah.
We got a long show and we got a lot of show left. Oh boy. You know, normally when you get to the main event, you'd think the show's almost over, right? Nope.
Right.
Nope.
No, and the video package went on along, and at least half of it was just revamping what we just saw last Monday night on Raw,
which I thought was great.
The trial of Sami Zayn, which itself went on so long that they had to cut other matches.
By the way, they'd also shown this video package twice during the pre-show, so we've already seen it.
And did they revamp some of it on SmackDown too?
Sammy only showed up on SmackDown for like 5 minutes.
Yes.
But, so we finally get Kevin Owens coming down to the ring. I wish he would have sprinted. You know how in the Rumble they were all running to the ring? I kind of wish Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns would have done that. Because this show probably would have been about 10 minutes shorter.
Yeah.
Kevin comes down to the ring, and he's walking at a leisurely pace. And then Roman Reigns' music hits. And Roman doesn't come out. Then you see Paul Heyman.
Right.
And then Roman comes out, and then Sammy comes out. And then they stand there at the top of the ramp for
ever.
Yeah.
Forever.
A long time. And then Roman Reigns walks at what I can only describe as Undertaker pace.
Yeah, exactly. Undertaker.
He kept walking, and I was like, holy shit, is he ever going to get in the ring?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to point out that the crowd, up until this point, up until really when Kevin came out, the crowd was asleep. They fell asleep right about the time Rhea was about to win the Rumble. And they didn't wake up again until Roman was, what, a quarter of the way down the ramp?
Right. Well, you know, these shows go on so long that audience fatigue is inevitable. I can remember when the norm, you can too, for the norm for a television broadcast was 2 hours, and the pay-per-views were about 3 hours at the most. Sometimes a little shy of 3 hours.
This was now, a 4-hour
television shows are 3 hours long, and the pay-per-views are 4 or 5 hours long. And if it's WrestleMania, it's like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours long. It's like a marathon that goes on for 2 frickin' days now. And you know, I can't sit in a live audience that long, you know. I
I
mean,
want to
my
make it
God, I thought that
abundantly
NFL
clear.
football usually goes on too long. This is
I want,
longer than that.
I want to make it abundantly clear that this crowd did not give a shit about anything except for the Royal Rumbles and the title match. They did not care about the pitch black match.
No, that
They
was a
did
waste
not
of time.
care about Alexa Bliss versus Bianca Belair. They cared about this match
Right.
a lot.
Yeah. And you know, it was a good enough match. It was worth waiting for, but I wish we had to wait so long.
Um, I think this is the best match these two have had by far, and they've had a lot of them.
Yes.
We've seen this match a lot, but this was the best version of it. Um, the
Once they
finish,
finally got going, it was great.
the finish, and I want to point out that this was a very back and forth and back. Kevin Owens controls the early bit of the match. I also want to make it abundantly clear that this crowd was so behind Kevin Owens and so behind Sami Zayn, it was
Right.
ridiculous.
It was.
They were chanting Sami for about 80% of this match.
Yes, they were. And they finally got what they wanted.
We'll get to that.
Yes.
Roman finally takes control after the ref goes down on a ref bump because it was 50-50 pretty much the whole way until a ref bump.
Very, very well paced and very well balanced.
This was the best match on the show. I don't
Yes.
I don't even think it's close. I
Yes.
know we're comparing it
Well,
to
you
two
got
battle
two of the
royals.
best workers in the business.
Roman is just next level at this point.
Yes.
And Kevin, after the ref goes down, Kevin hits the stunner on Roman, gets a 3 count, but the ref's down, so it doesn't matter. And then Kevin gets up, he's looking around for the ref. The classic low blow from Roman. Roman goes down after the low blow. After he hits the low blow, tells Sami to give him a chair.
Right.
And he has to say it a couple of times. Sami, give me a chair. Give me a chair. And Sami looks like he doesn't know what language Roman is speaking. That'll be important later.
Yes.
After this, Sami finally gets the chair. Right as Kevin Owens gets up. Owens hits another stunner.
Yes.
Or goes to.
Right.
Roman gets out. They brawl to the outside.
And gets a near fall.
Right. Kevin gets a near fall. He gets a couple of near falls. Kevin got a whole bunch of near falls in a row here.
Right.
Then Roman takes control again on the outside. The ref is dead for like 10 minutes. This was a 30-minute match, and the ref was dead for 10 minutes.
Right.
So they're brawling on the outside, and this is where things started to get vicious. And Roman puts Kevin through the barricade, and he just starts beating the hell out of him. He slams his head on the steps, which I thought was a really...
That would look brutal.
I don't think they should have done that spot.
Well, I don't know how. Can't imagine any safe way to take that bump, and they did it twice. I mean, that kind
The
of shit
second time
so
looked worse
risky.
than the first time.
It just looks so risky. I cringe when I see him doing that, because you could end up a paraplegic from that bump.
Corey Graves, who I thought was terrible tonight, I thought he had a bad night. But does Corey Graves ever do good on commentary? That's kind of my question. Has he ever been good at commentary?
I've never been a great fan, no.
He's a good wrestler.
I haven't been a big fan of most of the commentary in WWE for quite a long time.
Well, Michael Cole is great when he's got Pat McAfee.
Michael Cole's good.
When he's got Pat McAfee, yeah. Wow. Anyway, we keep going with this match. Corey Graves says, can we please stop showing that spot where Kevin gets his head smacked into the steps, because that's a little much. And I agree with him. That was a little much. And we saw it like 7 times.
Right.
They only did it twice, but I think we saw it 7 or 8 times.
They replayed it.
Over and over and over again. Well, after all this, Roman gets Kevin back in the ring, hits him with a spear, covers him. Kevin kicks out. They both get back up. Kevin smacks him almost in an act of defiance. Roman hits one more spear. 1, 2, 3. The match is over. And we think the pay-per-view is over.
Yeah.
Buckle up. We got 30 more minutes.
Exactly. Then we have a post-match storyline.
This was great. This whole post-match, next level storytelling. All these guys are fantastic. This was awesome.
This is where the fans got the payoff for what they've been hoping for.
And I was satisfied by this. Uncle Russ, were you satisfied?
Yes.
This was...
I thought it was very well done.
This was brilliant storytelling, wrestling storytelling at its finest. Old-fashioned good storytelling in the ring. The bloodline comes out. They start beating on Kevin Owens. They show that damn head on the steps replay again, which I was begging them to stop showing after the third time. And they're just beating the hell out of Kevin Owens. Super kicks and Samoan spikes and all this.
Looked pretty brutal.
And he made it.
Kevin Owens could take a hell of a beating.
And I swear he fell asleep halfway through this, but and then they get the handcuffs out and they handcuff him standing up.
Right.
Which I don't imagine those handcuffs were too tight.
Right.
Because if they were, for as long as he was in them, he no longer has circulation to his hands. But he's getting the hell kicked out of him still. He's still taking super kicks. And then Roman grabs the chair again, and he's like, I'm going to finish this. And then we get what we've been waiting for.
Yes. Famous conscience.
Sammy steps in front of Kevin and says, whoa, whoa, whoa. Roman, it's over. It's over. We don't need to do this. Basically tells Roman, you're better than this. We don't need to do this. And Roman, for a minute, looks like, okay. And Roman, like, looks like he's calming down almost. Looks like he's like, you know, that anger high. It looks like he's coming down off it.
That's the thing too. You notice that he does very, very well with the visuals and you know the expression in his eyes, the way he uses his body.
And
he's a good storyteller.
He gets even better as this goes.
Yes.
He's like, you know what, Sammy, you're right. You do it. Mind you, he doesn't have a mic for any of this, but we can hear all of it because they've got this mic'd up so well, and Roman's good at this kind of stuff anyway. That's how Roman tells his stories. He doesn't do it with a mic in his hand. He does it like this. And he keeps telling Sammy to take the chair, take the chair. Finally, Sammy takes the chair. Roman is telling Sammy to hit Kevin. He just keeps saying, hit him, finish it, do it.
Right.
And then perhaps my favorite line of the night was Roman says, are you crying?
Yeah.
Because Sammy, also great at facial emotion, great at facial expression, made it look like he was crying. This was great.
Yes.
All of this was great.
And then, go ahead, finish the story. Tell them what happens.
So, Sammy lifts the chair up. He looks at the chair. He looks at Kevin. He looks at Roman. Roman's getting angrier and angrier as Sammy's taking longer and longer. Finally, he waits for Roman to turn his back one more time. And then what I will affectionately call the shot heard round the world. Roman gets smacked in the back by Sammy with this chair.
Right.
And it was loud.
Yeah. It was
that
great.
Was not a pussy chair shot. That was a hit me as hard as you can, goddammit, shot.
Yes.
And Roman tensed up and he went down like a box of rocks.
Yes. It was great. And the crowd just exploded.
Jay Jay went into shock. Jimmy gets pissed. Jimmy's screaming at Sammy like, "What the hell are you doing, Oos? What the hell you think you're doing, bro? He ain't your family. We are."
Yeah.
And just saying all this as Jay Uso is just having a mental breakdown in the corner.
Yes.
Jay Uso was great here. We haven't mentioned him at all. He was great. He is having a mental fucking breakdown as this whole thing is going on. He looks like he's going to melt.
Mm-hmm.
And Solo and Jimmy jump Sammy as Roman is still down. And as they're jumping him, Roman is just sitting there with his head in his hands, and Roman can't fucking believe this.
And Jay's just hanging back.
Jay's having a panic attack.
Yeah.
Or whatever he's doing over there.
They've been teasing this for a while too, what happens with him.
Jay looks like he's having a mental breakdown. Like, he looks like he is crying. He can't believe it. And Sammy's just getting the fucking shit kicked out of him. Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso just beat the shit out of him.
It looked really brutal.
They rip his shirt off. They beat the brakes off him. Roman finally gets up. I feel like Roman was down for a long time.
He sold that chair shot really well.
I don't think he was down for that long, but they did a good job making it feel like it was a little longer than it actually was. And Roman gets up and then he starts wailing on Sammy. And mind you, not only are they wailing on Sammy now, Kevin Owens is still handcuffed to the ropes and they're wailing on him too.
Right.
They're blaming him for all this. This was all just spectacular.
Right.
Sammy is laying dead in the middle of the ring. Roman is screaming at him. And then he tells Jay, "Hey, help us, dude. What are you doing?" And Jay
he bails.
He's like, "I'm out, Oos."
Yeah. And he just
I think he might have even said, "I'm out, Oos." I think that's what he even said. He might have said it.
So we not only got an ongoing angle here now involving Sammy and Kevin Owens, but we've now got a dissension in the tribal family, you know.
I think this is going to lead to Solo versus Jay, right?
Yeah.
Or do they do Uso versus Uso? I mean, they could do it. This would be the time.
Yeah, they could.
If they've ever wanted to do a Jimmy versus Jay match,
this would be the way to do it. Yeah. Maybe we'll get something like that at WrestleMania.
I think they're going to be back together by WrestleMania.
You think so?
We'll talk about my WrestleMania predictions here in a minute. That's how we'll wrap up the show.
All right.
So finally, after Jay leaves and Roman gets even angrier, and they beat him up some more, they take the flower necklaces that they have. They're tribal. They're part of the Samoan heritage.
Right.
Roman starts ripping it up, and that's how you know Roman was.
Yes. And he's doing it slow, very methodically.
Like, kind of like he loves me not.
Yes.
Kind of gimmick.
Comparison.
And then they start just collecting, the bloodline starts picking up their stuff, and they're getting ready to leave. And Roman, I can't remember, was it Roman or Solo who dropped the torn part of Sammy's shirt on top of his head?
It wasn't Roman. Solo. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
It was Solo, I think.
Yeah.
Because Jimmy got out of the ring first after Jay did. Because Jimmy got out of the ring because Paul motioned for him or something. I don't know why.
Right.
Might have had to tell him something funny. I don't know. Point out a chick in the 15th row, whatever. So Jimmy gets out, Solo gets out, Paul slides the belts out from under the ropes, they leave, Kevin's unconscious and handcuffed, Sammy's dead in the middle of the ring. I mean, Sami Zayn looks dead.
Yes.
And they don't even play Roman's music or anything. They don't do anything. Roman just leaves.
Yeah.
And the last shot is just Roman backing up, looking at the ring, looking at the carnage, basically, and they go off the air.
Right. Good storytelling. Makes me want to see more.
I
I want
thought
to see what's the next chapter.
I thought in terms of the first stop on the quote unquote road to WrestleMania, this was one of the stronger ones they've had.
Well, it was such a good main event, and the post match, which often, the post match stuff is such bullshit. In this case, it wasn't. It makes
They
me
made
want to
it
make
matter.
sure I watch Monday Night Raw. I haven't looked forward to watching Monday Night Raw in years.
Well, we're gonna watch it tomorrow night.
Monday
I
night, yeah.
thought I thought in terms of a pay-per-view or premium live event, whatever you want to call it, I thought this was like a 7.5, 8 out of 10.
I'd give it about a 7.
I thought the pitch black match was bad.
I agree.
I thought Bianca and Alexa, for as much as it was better than that match they had on Raw a few weeks ago, it was still not good.
Right.
I thought the best match of the night by far was Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens.
Yeah, unquestionably. I agree with you.
I know there's a lot of divisiveness about that men's Royal Rumble online. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was great. I thought the finish was great.
Right.
That was a top 10 finish all time to a Royal Rumble.
It seemed
was
like
not
they
a top
drug it
10
out a
Royal
little
Rumble.
bit too long with too many distractions.
But the finish was perfect. The finish to the Royal Rumble was perfect. They gave him a lot of time.
I'd like to see those two go again in a singles match.
I would venture to say that's a great possibility.
Yeah.
I know that the rumored idea for Gunther is Brock at SummerSlam. But I don't know, man. Cody and Gunther, that'd be something.
I would look forward to that. I like I said, how I've reacted to Cody Rhodes' matches, it all depends on who he was working with. And I think that could be booked as a really good match. Yeah.
Well, it's very clearly now him and Roman at WrestleMania. Roman's not dropping the belt at the Elimination Chamber. Not gonna
I
happen.
can't see that.
Notable omissions tonight: no AJ Styles, no John Cena.
Correct.
We kind of thought Cena might be here, but no high sight of him anywhere. I still think he's going to end up working with Austin Theory at WrestleMania, or Logan Paul, one of the two.
I couldn't care less at this point.
I mean, he'll sell some tickets.
Right. I suppose it makes sense from a business point of view, but as a fan, I've seen all the John Cena matches I need to see.
It looks like, and I have to think it's going to be Rhea and Bianca at WrestleMania, yes. Right? Unless they're going to do Rhea and Beth somehow.
That'd be interesting.
I want to know how they'd get the belt on Beth. I mean, because they'd have to put the belt on Beth. Right. Unless they're going to do that match at the Chamber, which might be what they do. They might do that match at the Chamber. They might do it as a mixed tag at the Elimination Chamber.
Sure.
Edge and Finn Balor seem set for WrestleMania.
That sounds like a good possibility.
It sounds like that, because remember, the rumor was these two were going to have a Hell in a Cell match on this show. Can you imagine how much longer this show would have been if we had a Hell in a Cell match?
Oh, I'm glad they didn't.
Holy hell. That show'd still be on.
Right.
It'd still be on right now.
It's like almost a 4.5 hour show. And they could have cut it down by an hour easily.
I don't know where.
They probably had a half hour's worth of ads in there.
They could have cut a half hour then.
Yeah.
In terms of night 1, night 2 WrestleMania, I still think Seth ends up with one of those titles. And I think Roman probably walks out of Mania a champion of some kind. I don't think he's losing to Cody. Now, I say that.
Right.
I could be absolutely 100% wrong.
Well, a lot can happen between now and then.
Right. And Cody, it feels like they're going to have him be the one to beat Roman. But I would almost prefer it be Seth at this point. And
Yeah.
the rumored main event for night 2 is a triple threat Cody, Seth, and Roman.
Okay.
I would be okay with that.
I'm not a huge fan of triple threat matches, but you know, I don't hate them all.
But that's 3 great workers.
Yeah.
And for whatever weaknesses you may think Cody has, Seth and Roman sure make up for it.
For title matches, I'm just more of a traditionalist. I like, you got to submit or pin your opponent.
If they did it in an elimination style, if they did an elimination 3-way, I think that would probably be the way to get around that, right? If they were going to do it, or you do Seth on night 1 and Cody on night 2.
That could work.
But I don't think you want Roman working double duty, because I think you want the women closing night 1, don't you?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I think Bianca and Rhea could close night 2.
I think we're stuck having WrestleMania as a 2-day event probably now. It's like we're all going to 3 hours. They'll never go back to 2 no matter what. Now that WrestleMania is 2 days, will they ever go back to having it be 1 day?
Well, here's the thing. I prefer it at 2 days as opposed to 8 hours.
I agree with you. It's so ridiculously long that you can't stay awake through it.
I prefer the 2 3-hour shows as opposed to 1 8-hour show.
Yes, absolutely.
That on one night is a nightmare. I don't know what their plan is for the Elimination Chamber. Obviously,
no idea.
Roman is a part-time guy now. Is he going to work that show? Is he not going to work that show? I assume Roman's working the Elimination Chamber. And I have not heard anything to tell me any different.
Right.
My assumption is it's Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn at the Elimination Chamber. That is my assumption. And that was reportedly the plan a few days ago.
Okay.
Now, could that plan have changed? Yes, plans change.
Well, things could change drastically at any time now. We still don't know for sure from one day to the next what's the status of Vince McMahon with the company. That's an ever-changing story that you never know who to believe or what to believe.
I don't think he'll come back to creative. I think he'll try, but I don't think he'll be able to do it.
Well, if he tries, I hope somebody stops him.
Oh, good Lord. Triple H is so much better than him. Holy hell.
I agree. Yes. The WWE product is so much more watchable than it has been for several years.
We have Raw tomorrow. There has been not a whole lot announced for that show.
Right.
SmackDown has a lot announced for it. We have the tag tournament final. And we also have the SmackDown women's title match for what feels like the 7th time between Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville.
That has been done a lot.
I do not want to see this match. I've seen this match.
How many times can you watch the same match over and over if they're not going to do anything new and exciting with it?
Now, granted, they haven't done it in several months.
Still.
But
it should be an interesting week.
Dynamite on Wednesday. There's been a lot announced for that show. I don't have that full lineup in front of me. That's going to be.
I don't either. But speaking of AEW, I'm glad that Mark Briscoe is now going to be on the AEW.
He's not going to be on AEW. I think that was a one-off.
What's that?
I think that was a one-off.
Just a one-off?
I think so. And I think Nia tonight was also a one-off. Speaking of one-offs, I don't think Nia's back. I don't think. I haven't asked anybody. I mean, I could ask, but I don't think Nia's back. Not full-time anyway. But maybe she is. I mean, it wouldn't shock me.
Well, I think they could do better.
Well, they let Mandy Rose go for essentially nothing.
Yes.
And their excuse was, "Oh, we're a publicly traded company." Well, you're about not to be, I think. So,
Yeah.
will you bring her back when you're not? It's kind
Well,
of
their
my question.
standards and practices are very wildly inconsistent depending on who they're dealing with. And they seem to judge the females much harsher than they do the males.
I don't understand that either. Like, be fair about it.
Yeah.
If one guy does one thing and one girl does the same thing, punish them equally.
Right.
There is not
Doesn't
a
seem to
difference
work out
between the
that
two.
way.
Like, they're all making fairly decent money, if not great money, in the case of like a Roman Reigns or a Brock Lesnar, who's getting paid $5 million to show up and get bumped in 3 minutes. Overall, Uncle Russ, what do you give the
Yes.
Royal Rumble?
Not too bad. I'd give it, like I said, about a 7.
I thought it was a good show. I didn't think it was great. I thought it was
Had
a
the
good show.
main event not been as good as it was, I would have rated it much lower. But
Well,
the main event really, really was worth waiting for, even though they made us wait a long time.
I mean, we knew that main event was going to be something special.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was questioning that. I mean, they had a strong
And
main event
even
here.
so, it exceeded my expectations.
So that brings us pretty close to the end here.
Right.
Next week, we are going to talk about Raw, SmackDown, and Dynamite.
Yes.
I might have Spark Notes on Rampage,
All right.
but other than that, I don't plan on talking too much about Rampage.
Yes.
What else?
If anything else exciting and notable comes up, we can always talk about it.
Obviously, we'll talk about all the news on here. Two Marks and a
Right.
Spark.
If for some reason, Impact Wrestling or comes up with something really exciting and original and entertaining, we can always talk about that, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
Don't hold your breath. You probably won't make it that long.
Right.
I mean, okay, here's the reality of it. Those are the 3 shows we guarantee we're going to talk about every week. We're
Right.
going to talk about other stuff. I almost guarantee it. But
Right.
eventually. But for now.
All right. And looking forward to seeing you again next week.
Well, folks, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe right here on the Lock 22 YouTube. I'm gonna try that again. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe right here on the Lock 22 YouTube channel for more episodes of Two Marks and a Spark. Go check out NFL and a bunch of other great content right here on Lock 22.
Also want to mention I've got a show that is usually weekly on Lock 22, Uncle Russ's Comic Talk, where I talk to you about comic books. Comic books for sale, as well as comic books that I'm excited about for my own collection. So in addition to being a pro wrestling fan, I am a comic book nerd.
So we're just a couple of nerds on the internet talking about professional wrestling.
You bet.
This show hasn't changed that much. Names and faces may change, but at the end of the day, this is still Two Marks and a Spark. If you've been a fan of this show for a while, you know how this show ends. I tell you to have a great rest of your night and a great rest of your week. If you're new, thank you so much for joining us this week. I know we're going to get a lot of new people this week because we're on the new Lock 22 YouTube channel. Well, not new channel. By the way, go check out the Lock 22 merch. Link should be down there somewhere. Go check out the Lock 22 merch. You can get this shirt along with a couple other ones. I think we just got a new design a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Damon will put the link down there. Everybody, have a great night. Thank you so much for joining us for the Royal Rumble post show. We will see you right back here next Sunday.
All right.
On Lock 22.